NFL Divisional Round of playoffs is in the books. The NFL's Final Four is set. Let's talk about it. All right, guys, let's talk about the Sunday games. The Bears and the Rams had a classic matchup in Chicago that came down to overtime. Caleb Williams throwing a 14-yard touchdown pass that actually traveled 51.5 yards. Wait, how could that happen? The ball should be in the stands if he threw a 14-yard pass 51 yards. No, he ran back 40 yards to throw that pass to Cole Kmet in the end zone to get the game to overtime. It was an insane play. But, before that, I'm getting ahead of myself because that play was so exciting. Unfortunately, as you all know by now, the Bears did not win that game. And that play would have been lore in Chicago forever. It's still going to be one of the most talked about plays, probably the craziest touchdown play ever in a playoff game. But it all comes in a loss, so it won't have the same effect as it will over time. But what a freaking throw by Caleb Williams there, darting back from the 14-yard line to the 41-yard line to throw a pass is kind of insane. But he did it, and maybe he might be the only quarterback to do it. So Chicago, let's just, congrats on a great season. They're going to be a team to reckon with next year and for years to come, as long as Caleb Williams can stay healthy and their star players there can stay healthy. But what a game. I mean, the cold and the rain, the Rams, coming from Southern California, playing in a domed stadium. I said last time that if it was just cold, that the Rams would win this game. But if there was any sort of moisture, rain, or snow, that the Bears have a chance to win this game. And, I mean, it really did come down to that, although it took another miracle ending by the Bears to, get that game tied up and send it to overtime, and where Caleb Williams threw an interception to Rams safety Cam Curl when he was trying to get it to DJ Moore, ended their game, and the Rams went down and scored a field goal with the thicker kicker. Great win. The Rams, who I've been saying most of the year are probably the best team in the NFC. Seattle Seahawks have had a lot to say about that lately, especially in their win on Saturday, which there should have been a mercy rule in that game. That game should have been ended in the third quarter because there was no chance that the 49ers were going to win that game. But we already talked about that. I don't want to go backwards and talk about that game again. Let's stick with the Rams and the Bears. The Rams and the Bears, what a game. I mean, Matt Stafford, he had an MVP type game, no turnovers, protected the ball well. Kyren Williams for the Rams, to me, was the star. 87 yards on 21 carries and 2 touchdowns. And, in that kind of weather, a good run game is needed. I mean, the Bears did all they could with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, but it just wasn't enough to overcome Caleb Williams' 3 interceptions. The last one, of course, being the one to Cam Curl that we just talked about. What a game. It's a game you could watch over and over again. Won't mind seeing these guys meet up again in the future, next season, next year's playoffs. This will be a good battle. Again, the Bears, they're on the right track. Ben Johnson turned that program around this year. They have a lot to be proud of, but it sucks for them to lose that game and sit there on the bench watching a field goal get kicked when you were the guy who threw the interception. The cutaway to Caleb Williams after that kick went through, just, the picture is 1,000 words. That it was all there on his face, much like Josh Allen the day before. You just knew, there's nothing you can do. There's the self-reflection, knowing how you contributed to putting your team in that position, making a turnover, giving up the ball, and allowing that kick to happen. But amazing game. The Rams, they proved a lot of people wrong, winning in a cold game and a snow game. They have a tough test going up in Seattle this upcoming week. The games between these two teams this year, the 2 games have been amazing. I talked about their last game at being the game of the year. Go back and check that out. I'll put a link up above. check that out and watch that video. It was such a classic game, coming down to, the last second and, 2-point win. Crazy. I expect the same kind of battle between these two teams. The Rams defense did a great job against the Bears, having a bunch of stops. I mean, big questions for me in the Bears game is the going for it on fourth down instead of taking points. There were at least 2 chances where the Bears could have kicked the field goal and gotten points. For whatever reason, they decided to go for it on fourth down instead of taking the kicks. And I keep saying this, and I'm a broken record, but I just don't understand going for it on fourth down when you can put points on the board. It's more likely than not that the kicker was going to make that field goal. And the way the Rams defense was playing and the Bears offense was playing, it was less likely that they were converting those fourth downs. And that was the case. I mean, the Rams defense came up big, stopping some touchdowns, potential touchdowns on fourth down. And I just don't understand it. I think you have to change your coaching strategy when it comes to the playoffs and points, especially in games like that when the elements are such a big factor. You've got to protect the ball and you've got to take every point you can. I think there was a quote from the Patriots game where I think one of the announcers was saying that Mike Vrabel, might not have been Mike Vrabel, so forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, but the quote was, if we can come down and get points, whether it be a kick, every time we have the ball, we're going to win the game. And I think that thought needs to factor into like Ben Johnson's playoff coaching strategy, going for it on fourth down, failing, and then once you get the Caleb Williams to Cole Kmet touchdown pass that we already talked about, and you're now down by 1, I was expecting them to go for 2 and try to win it right there and not go to overtime. But then that is when Ben Johnson actually kicked the extra point. So I was confused by the coaching decisions. I mean, he's such a risk taker in the regular part of the game, and now it was like, oh, let's play it safe and kick the extra point, and we'll try to win it in overtime. That seems to go against his coaching style from Detroit and all season here in Chicago. That play was more confusing to me than anything. Like the risk taker that Ben Johnson seemed to be, I thought for sure he was going for 2 and try to win the game in regulation, but he didn't. The Bears lost. Great game, very entertaining. Wish the weather wasn't such a big part of that game. At least the refs didn't come into play as it did in the Denver Buffalo Bills game, which I still think that was a catch by Brandon Cooks. Every other opportunity I've seen a play like that, when the player comes and hits the ground, it's a simultaneous catch and tie goes to the receiver. For whatever reason, maybe just because it's the Bills, it went the other way and Denver got that ball. But again, watch the last video. I talked about that before. It is going to be something that's going to be talked about all off season. Still don't understand how that wasn't a catch. It's very confusing. I really would like some consistency from a fan's perspective of what's a catch and what's not a catch. But anyway, back to the Rams and Bears. Rams win. Matt Stafford's probably going to be the MVP, especially the way Drake May played in the other game. So let's talk about that game right now. The Patriots and the Texans. As a Patriots fan, I'm thrilled that the Patriots were able to hold on and beat the Texans. I talked about it leading up to this game in a couple of episodes. I kept mentioning as the playoffs were starting how CJ Stroud was going to be key to the Texans winning, and it was going to come down to him making a play, something to keep a drive going or to make a big play and get a touchdown. Something like what Caleb Williams did in their comeback there that fell short against the Rams. But CJ Stroud had maybe one of the worst games. His game in Pittsburgh, he looked very jumpy, very shaky, very uncertain, very nervous. There was nothing different in his play in this game. Drake May, though, he's only slightly better. Both of these guys combined for 7 turnovers. Stroud had 4 interceptions. Drake May had 1 interception and 2 fumbles. And on top of that, he was sacked 5 times. So the Texans defense did everything he could. All the turnovers that the Patriots had, other than Jones's pick 6 Every other time the Patriots got the ball on a fumble or interception, the Texans defense stopped them and the Patriots got 0 points. So the Texans defense was doing everything they could to keep them in this game, and CJ Stroud was doing everything he could to let the Patriots win this game. Again, as a Patriots fan, you'll see there's a helmet behind me. I'm a Patriots fan. I'm very excited for the outcome, but the way the Texans defense played, they could have very easily won the game. I mentioned last time that I thought Will Campbell was going to be the key, him having to protect Drake May's blindside. And if he couldn't do it, that the Patriots were going to lose this game. And he couldn't do it. He couldn't protect Drake May's blindside. Those 2 fumbles that were caused by Will Anderson, who was Will Campbell's blocking assignment, Will Anderson knocked both of those balls out of Drake May's hand, and Will Campbell was overmatched all day long. So I feel like Will Campbell, he needs to go and send CJ Stroud a thank you card or maybe a muffin basket or something like that. He needs to thank CJ Stroud for those 4 interceptions, because if not for CJ Stroud's poor play, the Patriots would have lost, because Will Campbell couldn't block anybody. And that's now like 2 weeks in a row. He's now had trouble with a good pass rush. I mean, the Chargers had the number 5 defense, Denver had the number 1 defense, and Will Campbell was overmatched in both of those games. And now he's got Nick Bonitto of Denver to face this week, who had 14 sacks in the regular season. The Broncos D had 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 3 fumble recoveries. And during the regular season, they led the league in sacks with 68. Nick Bonitto had 14 of those 68, okay? Against Josh Allen and the Bills, he had a sack and 2 forced fumbles, the big one coming at the end of the first half where he knocked the ball away and the Broncos, with 2 seconds left, kicked the field goal. Nick Bonitto's ready to go, and if he's watching the tape of Will Anderson beating the snot out of Will Campbell, Nick Bonitto's just drooling right now at the chances of getting his hits on Drake May. The Patriots need to do something different. They need to bring Will Campbell help, because he doesn't have the foot speed to stick with Nick Bonitto. Earlier in the year, Myles Garrett had 4 sacks running past Will Campbell. This is not anything new. This is a thing that's been going on all season. His foot speed is not good. If someone has a good outside rush, he's getting beat. So they're going to have to bring a tight end over there or have a running back help and chip these guys as they're going out into the flat for a pass or a screen. But Will Campbell can't handle Nick Bonitto by himself. And it doesn't matter that Bo Nix isn't playing with his broken ankle. Jarrett Stidham, as I said the last time, is going to be fine. He's not a guy who can't play the position. He just hasn't played it well. Jarrett Stidham has the same number of pass attempts in the season as you or I do, which is 0. I mean, the guy hasn't played a meaningful game in a long time, and he hasn't played a regular season game or anything since 2023, and his last pass was an interception in a game against the Raiders. So not something to like walk off on and be proud of. He had a crummy game that day. He is talented enough. And again, watch the last video or watch the short that I have. I'll put a link to it up here where I explain why it's not going to be a problem for the Broncos having Jarrett Stidham at the quarterback. They're going to take the pressure off of him and try to run the ball more so he doesn't have to face the Patriots defense, which has been playing out of their minds the last month. So he's going to have a lot of pressure in his face going up against his former team, but I don't see him as such a liability as I initially thought. I think he's going to be fine, especially because of Denver's defense and how unbelievably good it is and how much pressure they can put on a quarterback. I think the Patriots, they're going to have to shore it up. I mean, Drake May, he was sacked 5 times last week. So if the Texans can get to him 5 times, the team that had 68 sacks in the regular season, they're going to get to him too. The difference between Drake May and CJ Stroud last week was the fact that CJ Stroud had a mistake or made a mistake and was in his head. And you could see it on his face in those shots when he's walking on the sideline. He's definitely talking to himself and having voices in his head, questioning himself and having self-doubt. Drake Maye would have a fumble or an interception and just come back and keep playing. I mean, he threw 3 touchdowns. 2 of them were some of the most amazing catches I've ever seen in a football game. Stephon Diggs catching a ball in a tight window, having vice grip hands with defenders smacking at that ball as they went to the ground, and the ball didn't even move one little bit. It was one of the most amazing catches that I've ever seen. Kayshon Boutte had this one-handed crazy grab in the end zone that was, the number 1 play on SportsCenter's top 10 plays the next day. So it was just outrageous. So Drake Maye didn't let those turnovers affect his play. He still threw the ball into tight windows, and he threw the ball in a place that only his receiver could get it. That kind of confidence and that kind of cool play is what CJ Stroud has been missing the last several weeks, and why the Texans are not playing this week in Denver. Because seriously, if CJ Stroud did anything well in that game, the Texans beat the Patriots, because that weather was a factor. Passing the ball was tough. Running the ball was tough. That was tough weather conditions there too. But, it's a difference in confidence level. Now, Drake Maye's playing because he's confident, and CJ Stroud's not playing this week because he's not confident. So, I don't know. The Texans, their coach came out in favor and having CJ Stroud's back. But I got to just wonder, he had all those interceptions before halftime. So, he did play much better in the second half. And then Drake Maye threw some crazy touchdown passes and put the game away. But somebody's got to work with CJ Stroud, and up here in his head. We got to get his head right, because I think he's lacking confidence right now. And he really looks like he's seeing ghosts the way Sam Darnold was several years ago when he was a Jets quarterback against the Patriots, and they caught him on the sideline saying he's, lip reading, saying, I'm just seeing ghosts. I think CJ Stroud was seeing ghosts. Like what the Patriots have been doing the last 2 weeks in defense, they're just confusing the offensive players, and they can't tell what kind of defense they're in. So they are seeing ghosts. So all the teams the Patriots have been playing the last month have been seeing ghosts. And the defense is going to have a similar game in Denver, Jarrett Stidham or not. The offense is going to be good enough to win that game because of the Broncos defense. So the Patriots defense is going to have a similar type of game to win this game in Denver. The last time the Patriots played Denver in the championship game, it didn't end so well. Broncos won that game and went on to the Super Bowl. So I don't have a confident memory of the Patriots beating Denver in Denver. I'm nervous, as I was with the Texans, because of the Broncos defense. Sean Payton is going to devise something to keep Jarrett Stidham in a good position. If they can stay out of 3rd and longs, where it has to be on Jarrett Stidham to complete a big pass, I think if they can do that, they have a good chance to beat the Patriots. But the Patriots are playing really well. Their offense, not so much. I mean, Drake Maye in these 2 playoff games, his completion percentage was 73% in the regular season and is now 58%, I believe. I may be off on that 58%, but it's definitely a drop. The pressure is better. The defenses he's facing are better. This week's going to be no different. So Drake Maye's got to get it together a little better and get warmed up sooner. Again, I don't think he can wait till the second half, as he has most of the season, to sort of calm down and figure it out, and then he picks the teams apart in the second half. I mean, I'm going to take that if he can do it against Denver, but I just don't see it. They can't keep surviving on that playbook, much the way Chicago spent so many games this year coming back in the last minute, having to win these games at the end in overtime. And they ran out of luck this week against the Rams. The Patriots are kind of relying on that kind of second half luck. They've been a great second half team, but they need to be a great first half team this week if they plan to get the Super Bowl. Again, I don't think Jarrett Stidham is as much of a liability as initially thought. And just because he hasn't played in a while, it's not going to be as big an issue as you think. This guy's been a pro. He's been in the league for several years. He's played for several teams. He backed up Tom Brady in New England. He's had good coaching at all of his stops along the way. And Sean Payton really likes him and kept him around even after drafting Bo Nix and replaced Russell Wilson with him. So Sean Payton has confidence in Jarrett Stidham, which is why he came back in that press conference and talked about Bo Nix's ankle. He wanted to get the message out to his team before they started practicing this week, basically saying, I believe in Jarrett Stidham and so should you, which is why I think he had that press conference instead of waiting so his team could get their minds right and forget about that nonsense and just have a good week of practice. So we'll see. We'll see. I think the Patriots defense, the way they've been taking the ball away, the way their secondary has been playing, the pass rush has been amazing. The Patriots, I think, should win this game. I think it's going to be a closer game than you think. I'd be surprised, actually, if it was like a blowout, just because it's in Denver and, teams coming into Denver, the altitude always affects them. It's going to be tough for the Patriots to get with it, but I think they're a really good team, and they've been proving it and proving everybody wrong. Weak schedule or not, we can stop talking about that now. They beat two fantastic teams in their first two playoff games, and they're going up another fantastic team, a team that I mentioned earlier, and I'll put a link to that video too, of why Denver could go to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, one of those reasons was because of Bo Nix, so it kind of puts a little bit of a damper, but again, like I said, I remember Jarrett Stidham in New England. I thought he was a good quarterback then, but he was too much of a threat to Tom Brady, and Tom Brady didn't want a guy who could legitimately take his job, so they shipped him off. And, his career hasn't panned out to what it was, but he has his opportunities. He's a professional. Sean Payton likes him. Their offense is going to be fine. The Patriots defense is going to have to step up to win that game. That's it for me. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys in the next podcast.